Hello, it is Jen, your movement coach extraordinaire. Today we are talking about why one hip sometimes feels tighter than the other. I hear this from clients all of the time. People come in and they say, oh my gosh, Jen, I'm training for a half marathon, or I'm doing this crazy yoga class, or I just generally feel tight on one side and I don't feel tight on the other side. Help me. First, it's important to note that our body is naturally asymmetrical. So one side does one thing really well, the other side does something else really well. And these two sides work together to produce forward motion. This is not a bad thing. The goal is not to make one side exactly like the other. The goal is simply to allow both sides to work together as well as possible so that you can enjoy all the activities you like to enjoy during your daily life. I'm going to take you through some quick hip assessments so you can determine what you sense in one side versus what you sense in the other side. And I will offer some simple ideas for how you can work on facilitating a more easeful coordination between the two sides. To begin, you're going to begin in a tall kneeling position. You're going to take one foot forward. I don't care which foot. Notice which side you naturally took forward. Just kind of observe that. From here, I like my back toes pointed. You could also have your back foot flexed. Doesn't matter. I want you to see if you can imagine that the skin underneath your belly is lightly pulling up. Once you have that, you're going to let the back hip reach forward and then bring it back. And as you do that, notice a couple things. Notice how the weight transfers in your front foot. And then also notice if you're truly leading the motion from the hip or if you're tilting forward from your torso. You can reach your hands forward to help a little bit. Take that foot back and then go ahead and switch sides. So same thing, the skin underneath the belly is going to lift a little bit. You're going to just notice what you experience in that hip. And then from your hip, shift forward and back. Do that a couple of times. And go ahead and release there. Okay, so based on what you observed in yourself, notice which side felt more restricted or tighter. My left leg back feels a little more restricted in that position. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to just try and stretch and hold and none of that. No. I'm going to let my left hip move back a bit, and then I'm going to bring it forward. I'm going to play with this. So I'm going to preset it by letting it come back and then moving it forward. I might also imagine that my pubic bone is shifting a little bit left as I come back and a little bit right as I come forward. And then I might retest. I might go, okay, now I'm back. I'm going to take this right foot forward. I'm going to come forward. Does that feel less restricted? All right, so that's test one. Test two. You're going to start in a standing position. You're going to pick up, now if you need a wall, you can totally use a wall. I should say that. You're going to pick up your outside foot if you're using a wall, and you're just going to make a circle. And again, just notice the completeness of your circle and notice how much movement is occurring in the rest of you. And then switch sides and see when you switch sides if one side feels a little more restricted than the other. Oftentimes people will feel like when they reach the leg out and around, there's a little bit of restriction on one side or the other. I actually don't experience that, but if you do, easy solution. You're going to come back to the sidewall. The foot that's grounded, you're going to really ground it. Now from here, you're going to imagine that the pelvic floor is moving to the left. As you make the circle to the right, if your right leg is the one making the circle. And just kind of see how that feels. Generally, that opens some things up. All right. The third place people often feel like they feel restricted is in a forward fold, right? And generally they'll feel like one side is fine and the other side, they're like, oh, I can't get down there. It's very stiff. My right foot forward is today, currently, a little bit more stiff than my left foot forward in this position. That's because of how I'm doing it. So if you watch me from the side, when I take my left foot forward, which is my side that feels easy, I naturally shift my left hip back in order to fold forward. Left hip goes back, I go forward. On the right side, this is the side that I really like to squat on. I don't do that as well. Now I'm doing it because I'm talking about it. But I don't generally do that. I keep it a little more forward. So what I could play with on this side in order to get, again, just maximize the asymmetry is I could actually shift my hips forward a little bit and then shift my hips back to come down. Shift forward, shift back. Do that a couple of times. And then on the next one, just hold and just kind of feel what that feels like. And then maybe retest. How does that feel on that side? How does that feel on that side? All right. Those are just some ideas. There's a bunch of other stuff I could have done with that as well. But the point is, your asymmetry, your tightness, your experience of tightness in one hip versus the other, it's rooted in a variety of factors, including what's happening in your pelvic floor, what's happening in your spine, what's happening in your feet, how you use your pelvis to create the space that you're moving into. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments. And if you want more information, check out my website. I have a couple of free PDFs about this topic. All right? As always, please like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time.